Welcome to another video, guys, here with Gut Friendly Bread. Today, I just want to talk to you guys about some of the labels on our food. I was perusing in the grocery store, looking at some different types of flour, and I wanted to go over some of the labels that we see on the groceries on our flour products. You see, you might think that you can do the best that you can to get the best quality flour, and there is a couple of good options. If you really look, I'm sure most of you know them, but even those options, they're still deceiving you in ways that is hard to kind of pick up on your own. So I want to dive into 3 of these food labels that are deceiving you. And on the 4th one, we're going to talk about a chemical that is not on the food label. So let's dive into it, okay? So the first label I want to talk to you about is bleached flour. To most of you, bleached flour kind of sounds like a no-brainer to stay away from, but it's still on the shelves, and it's been on the shelves for decades. So to others, I'm sure that it's the cheapness of the flour that causes people to buy it, but bleached flour is flour that has been refined, flour that has been milled and has this yellowy natural substance from the oil, but they want to age the process of the whitening of the flour. So instead of letting it age, they apply bleach to it. This speeds up the process. Not only does it have bleach, but the second you mill flour, it oxidizes. That means that it's exposed to oxygen. All of the free radicals are going to start developing, making the flour go rancid minutes after it's milled. So when you're eating bleached flour, you are eating something that has been rapidly oxidized, that is not going to contribute any health to your body. So I personally would stay away from it. But why does the FDA allow such things to happen? It's because when you have bleached flour, you're only getting small doses of the bleach. And over time, it starts to break down into volatile substances that kind of dissipates in the air, or it breaks down into tiny particles that's naturally found in the atmosphere. Either way, it takes away the moral consequence of putting bleach in our food. That goes with any company that puts any kind of toxic material in our food, in our products. They say it's minimally applied and it doesn't matter. But it opens up another can of worms to the fact that we are poisoning our bodies with everything we put at it. Our bodies are able to detoxify chemicals a little bit at a time. We do it when we drink alcohol. We drink alcohol and we're putting all of this poison through our liver, but the liver detoxifies it. And then after a time period, we're going back to normal. But as we age, it gets harder and harder. Well, if these chemicals are only added a little bit at a time, well, our body has to dispel it. Our body has to dispel plastics. Our body has to dispel polyester that we put on our clothing every day. The big problem is that we're surrounded by poison. We have created a culture of poison. It is in everything we eat, everything we drink, everything we breathe. So I wouldn't fall for what the FDA tells us that it's minimally applied and it doesn't matter, because it does matter. It's one part of a giant problem. Poison is in everything that we eat. So when you're looking for flour at the grocery store, I would focus on that bleached flour and stay away from it. So this goes into the next one. And the next one we have is a very deceiving label, because all of us have read this thing, and it's in everything that we eat concerning bread products and pastry products. We've seen it in everything, and it is enriched. You see, in the past, when we started to make white flour, we started to have extreme health issues, because when you take out the whole wheat, when you take out everything that has the vitamins and the nutrients, you just have white flour, which is void of anything. And people were starting to have debilitating diseases, and they were nutritional deficiencies. These things and many more were causing extreme illness. And because people wanted to follow the rich, they wanted to follow suit. But I read somewhere in the book of Proverbs that it says, don't desire the king's delicacies. It's not going to provide health to your body. The king's delicacies are deceitful. And the way of America has been deceiving so many people. How can we, and it goes past America, it goes into the first civilization. The way that the first civilized, the way that the rich decided to eat their bread has made everybody else want to eat it. But the poor, having to eat whole wheat, having to eat real food, have thrown away their desire to eat that food so that they can follow the rich. But the rich are pulling them down into sickness, death, and disease. So what is enriched flour? Enriched flour is just a term that has allowed the government to put in only a few vitamins and minerals that are considered essential for health, but really it's just the surface. I read a quote from this YouTuber, and I forgot the book. Okay, I forgot it. If I find it, I'll put it in the description. But she read a quote from it that really talks about what enriched actually is. It's like a robber coming into your house, putting you at gunpoint, telling you to take off all of your clothes and get naked. But then in your nakedness, the robber sees your shame and feels bad, but then tells you, here, put on your underwear and your socks. And from there, you're supposed to feel enriched. So that's what enriched is. And that's why a lot of us, the consumer who eats the bread made in America, we still get sick. We have put in the nutrition to take away these nutritional deficiencies. But over time, we're developing other diseases that are not as prevalent, but they're still there. That's a problem. And enriched is only scratching the surface. What we need to do is we need to add them all back. We need to not mess with the integrity of the whole grain. The whole grain is designed by our Creator. It is designed to put nutrition inside of your body. It is designed in a husk that is protected from the air. And you only mill it until you are ready to bake the bread right on the spot. We're not supposed to sell flour and make it rancid as we leave it on our counters. And before the counters, it's left inside of the bakeries. It's left inside of the store shelves. How long ago was that bread milled by the time it gets to your table in the form of bread? So instead, we have to have whole grains in the form of wheat berries, and we need to mill it ourselves, for it will change your life if you begin to mill your own wheat berries. So we've talked about bleached flour, we've talked about enriched flour, and now I want to talk to you about bromated flour. This should concern us all. Bromate flour contains a chemical called potassium bromate, which is a dough conditioner. And it's supposed to be made easy for us to handle. But why would we put chemicals in our bread to begin with? You see, the issue is that it's labeled as a possible carcinogen to the human body by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. You know, studies have only been on animals, but the damage done to animals is due to oxidative stress. Here's that word, oxidative, again. We have to constantly go back because everything is oxidized. When you pull your vegetables, it's oxidized. The second you pull it from the plant, the second you pull your fruit from the tree, it's oxidized. But we have corrupted our minds by buying produce from people that are selling us something that is pretty, right? Everything has to look pretty. Everything has to look intact. It doesn't matter if it actually is intact or not, but as long as it looks it, that's a problem. You see, if we're ingesting a substance that is labeled as a possible carcinogen to the human body, and it's still on our shelves, that is a major issue, humongous issue. And we need to deal with it. We can't go behind the excuse of saying that milling our own wheat is too expensive, or saying that the flour here is cheap and I can afford it. We have to make a way. And if we can't make a way individually, we have to make a way as a community. We have to figure this out. How are we going to do it? I don't know yet, but this is a start. And I believe if we can teach people how to bake actual gut-friendly bread, that's the beginning. We have to change the way that this nation looks at bread, because bread is the bread of life. Bread isn't the stain of death. That's how people look at bread in this country. They look at the bread and they say, I don't want it because I don't want to get diabetes, or I don't want to get this, or I don't want to get that. It messes with this. I have gut issues. I have wheat sensitivities. No, you have sensitivity to the chemicals that are placed in the bread. You have a sensitivity to the shortcuts that these profiteers are taking to make bread for profit. We have subsidized our wheat. We have subsidized our wheat so that our farmers can grow impossible wheat products at an impossible price so that we can beat our competitors. And that actually takes me into the next thing that I want to talk about. I've talked about 3 chemicals, and I'm going to talk about a 4th one, but it's not labeled on your food labels. You see, you can avoid bleached flour, bromated flour, and you can do your best to get away from enriched flour. But this one chemical, it's actually really hard to get away from. And this one is glyphosate. You see, glyphosate is a pesticide that we use and a lot of the world uses to grow our crops, because we have created a culture around growing monoculture crops. Crops are not meant to be grown one crop at a time. When you do that, you are destroying the immune system of your soil and your plants. That means that pests are going to come, and the pests that love your particular plant, they have a full course meal to eat it all. That means that you have to spray an insane amount of chemicals onto your plants. And those chemicals get into your wheat, get into your plants, and then you eat them. We don't have a lot of regulations on glyphosate, and it's in everything. Say you go to the store and you buy some of the best flour. What I do is I go and I bought King Arthur flour, unbleached, or Bob's Red Mill, unbleached. But even if we buy those, we cannot guarantee that the glyphosate levels are low enough to eat. For me, I don't want any glyphosate in my food, but we have to be real. Everything that is grown here has glyphosate in it. If you can manage buying completely organic or knowing your farmer, that's the best thing. Know your farmer and buy directly from your farmer or directly from someone that knows the farmer, and you can prevent yourself from ingesting all of this glyphosate. But that's the problem here in America. Have you ever taken your wheat, any company from the grocery store, from flour, and been able to track the farmer? I've tried, but I can't find the farmer. And that's by design, because the government deals with the farmer. And the government takes a lot of wheat from different farmers, and they put out regulations that you have to grow it this way. It's called commodity wheat. One of these days, I want to go deeper into commodity wheat. If you want to understand commodity wheat, commodity pricing in the system, I want you to get a book. It's called Grain by Grain. It's by a farmer named Bob Quinn. If you've ever heard of Kamut flour, he trademarked that flour. It's from Khorasan. He didn't trademark it for his profit, but he trademarked it so that he can protect the growing practices here in America. That is a genius move because people and almost every company wants to patent a seed, change its genetics, modify it to grow for their purposes. But he goes really in depth on the dangers and the disaster of commodity pricing and commodity products. So commodity wheat, the farmers grow it, the farmers sell it to the government, and the government distributes its products to be bought and sold, and then it ends up in our grocery stores. That's the gist of it. That's the quick summary of it. There's so much more, but it leads us, the consumer, in the dark. We can't find where the wheat comes from. We can't find what the farmer did to that product. But recent research has come out, and it should alarm you, but not scare you to the point of paralyzation, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. I want to talk to you about some facts that just happened. You see, the United States of America and our commodity system, it's becoming obsolete. Not yet, but the dents have started. We're not keeping up with the world. And right now, we're losing major contracts of wheat. Some of our major partners, Mexico, Italy, and South Korea, and the Philippines, are canceling major orders. Not because of what's happening in the world, because right now, America is in great turmoil. We have a lot of stuff going on. And honestly, who knows what's going to happen next? But people are canceling our orders because of our unreliability and, our glyphosate levels. That should alarm us. So let's take a look. In May 2005, the Philippines canceled a 12,000-ton order of wheat, and they made new contracts with Canada and Australia. You see, Canada has kept up with the changing times. Canada is aware of the concern of glyphosate. Canada is aware of the concerns of the world right now. And they're going a different route. They're no longer looking at our cheap commodity pricing, because if we're not reliable, then why would they want to work with us? That it doesn't make sense. France has new chemical and carbon standards that American wheat just can't meet. That's alarming. Wheat shipped into South Korea, our American wheat, is being denied. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the wheat in America is being denied by South Korea? Well, I'm going to tell you. The levels of glyphosate in the wheat are way too high for South Korean consumption. We're sending them wheat that is about 200 to 400 parts per billion. And their cutoff rate is 70 parts per billion. Their acceptance rate is 30 to 70 parts per billion. That is alarming. What are they allowing us, the consumers of the United States of America, to eat? And they're hiding it. They don't even have to label how much glyphosate was used. It is an invisible marker in your food. Just because it's not labeled on the label doesn't mean it's not there. You see, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the deceptiveness of labels. If you go to the Whole Grain Council, I can't remember the website, I'll put it in the description. It's like wholegraincouncil.org or something like that. And they will tell you to label it as whole grain. You go to the store, you say, I want whole grain bread. You see those fat packets of bread, brown bread, and it says whole grain on it. Did you know, according to the law, it only needs 8 grams of whole grains to be labeled as whole grain? That means you can have 80% to 90% of white bread flour and add just 8 grams of whole grains, and that whole bread can be called whole wheat bread. That is alarming and that is deceptive. That is pulling on the desire of the consumer to see a certain product, and you're cutting corners to make it happen. That is a shame. And we have to change it in our country. No more of accepting these shortcuts. The only way to eat true bread and to get true nutrition from it is to eat it in its whole source. We have to teach ourselves once again how to eat good, healthy bread from wheat berries. If you mill your own flour, you will change your life. I'm telling you, you will change your life. This is something that I'm learning myself. If you use, in America, spelted grain, einkorn, emmer, you use these things that are found in its most natural state, and then you learn how to sprout the wheat berries so the shoots can come out, and it takes on the characteristic of a plant more than a wheat. You dry it up, and then you grind it into flour the same day you want to bake it. All of the nutrients are there because you don't have enough time to oxidize everything. So you start to ingest the nutrients, and you watch what happens to your body when you ingest whole wheat from freshly milled wheat berries. We have to change the culture of this country, the way we look at bread. The way to do that is by changing our habits. So that's all I got right now. I'm just checking if I missed anything. But the next time you go to the grocery store, take a look. And I talked about the couple of brands, or the brands that do work. And realistically, the ones that are good are organic. If you get organic King Arthur flour, if you get organic Bob's Red Mill, or any of those organic brands, those will do you well. And we can't 100% say that there's no glyphosate or whatever, because I don't even know what's happening with the organic labels. I'm hearing about so much research on organic that we can't even trust in that anymore. But the one thing you can trust in is getting wheat berries that are trapped in their husk, that are trapped from the air. They're protected from all the substances that we want to put on our bread and on our food. They're protected from it until the second you mill them. And then you bake your bread, you bake your wheat products, you bake your pancakes, your cookies, your muffins, everything. You will be getting the whole wheat nutrition. So I hope you found something valuable in this video, because we need to make gut-friendly bread. We need to make it popular in this nation. We are on a trajectory here. We want to make America healthy again. We're taking out the food dyes. We're taking out the chemicals. We're taking out all of these things. We need to continue. We need to do our due diligence in understanding where our wheat is coming from. We need to do our due diligence to make sure that you do not allow these corporate companies to poison your bodies, the bodies of your children, the bodies of your families. We can make the change. We can make the difference. So I'll talk to you in the next one, because I've talked a lot today. This is a topic that really boils my blood. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. And if you stick with me, you'll be able to learn how to make gut-friendly bread. And you'll be able to go off and teach others yourself, because that's the only way that we're going to change. We, the people, can change the direction of this nation. The power only belongs to a few because we allow it. But it doesn't have to be that. So I give all the glory to my Creator. I give all the glory to my Savior, Jesus Christ, because He is the one that gave me this mission. So if you're a believer, I pray right now that you allow God to help you do the impossible in your life. Because right now in this country, we need God to raise up His people to do the impossible. Because the light needs to shine in the midst of this great darkness. So again, I'll see you in the next one.